Okay, so it says solve quadratic equation given below. All right, we're basically going to do the exact same thing we did on the last problem. I have this perfect square. I'm going to undo it. Now, the reason I undo it is I want to move stuff away from the x. I can't do it when it's trapped inside the parentheses and being squared. So to get rid of that square, I'm going to take the square root. Now, remember, like everything else when we're balancing equations, whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. And remember, when you take an even root, the square root, it's plus or minus. So I know the very last problem we just did, the square root of 256 is 16, right? 16 squared is equal to 256. Now we have to consider plus or minus because negative 16 squared is the same as negative 16 times negative 16. What happens to the negatives when I do that? Yeah, they become positive. So that'll give me 256. And then positive 16 squared is just 16 times 16, which is still 256. So when I take the square root, I have to consider both the positive and negative root. Okay. Now over here, just like on the last problem, I'm squaring this stuff, but when I take the square root, I'm undoing the work. So what I'm left with is 12x minus 27. Here it gets a little tricky. Now I'm going to solve. I'm going to say, let's add 27 to both sides. Okay. That leaves me with 12x is equal to, now here I'm just going to leave this as 27 plus or minus 16. I'm not going to add those up yet. Okay? I'm not going to add those up yet. I'll get to that in a minute. What would I normally do next? Next, I got to move stuff away from the x. 12x means 12 times x, so I got to undo multiplying by 12, which means I would divide by 12. And whatever I do on one side, I have to do, I have to do on the other, but I'm thinking to myself, maybe it'd be easier if I did it this way, right? I got to divide everything. Remember when we multiply or divide, we have to distribute that through every term in the equation. If I divide one thing by 12, I divide everything by 12. So over here, 12 divided by 12 is 1. 1 times x is x. Now this is where it gets interesting. I have 27 over 12 plus 16. That's one scenario over 12, right? Or I have x equals 27 over 12 minus 16 over 12. So I'm going to solve this first one first. Remember, we're just going to add that up. So 27 plus 16, what is that? Is that 43? 43 over 12? By the way, we could do that on the calculator, but 27 plus 16. Now that can't be reduced because 43 is a prime number. Okay, so that's one of our solutions. By the way, how do I know there's two solutions? Because it's quadratics. Way up here at the top, I had x squared, right? This square and this x means that I'm going to have two solutions. So then over here, I'm going to say 27 minus 16, and that's just 11. Again, 11 is a prime number. I can't reduce this any. Those are my two solutions. Okay? There any questions on that one? Oh, that's so slow. So I'll leave that up there for a second so you guys can write it down.